Welcome everybody to Robbs MetalWorks. What a glorious evening we are having on this Saturday night as we continue our endeavors to bring you the best into Texas metal, and as we end out the month of June 2022. Yes, I had to welcome the band from here in San Antonio. The Thrashers, known as X.I.L, are finally here in the studio, and I have with me the gentlemen of the band. Welcome, guys, to our show.
Holy shit, man. It's about fucking time, man.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Oh, man. God, you know, I've known about you guys and have been following you guys for a long time, and we'll talk a little bit about the history of X.I.L here in a little bit. But, yes, you are right. X.I.L has been on the show before, but it was kind of like a little brief interview at the Confused
the
Thrash Bash in the Valley.
So what, 2018, 17?
Yeah,
18, something like that.
It was about 5 years ago, right?
Roughly,
About 4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
In June, yeah, about 5
Yeah.
years ago, on the money.
And, you know, when I do those interviews at an event like that, they're like, again, they're brief. We're promoting the event. We're talking a little bit about the band. But tonight, I really kind of want to get to, I think this is really your night to shine, because I really wanted to take the time to talk about your latest record. And there are going to be people all over the country and outside of our region who watch Robbs, who will be learning about X.I.L tonight. So let's kind of start there. And I know we didn't talk about this in the beginning. So let's talk about the formation of X.I.L here in the San Antonio metal scene.
Well, it was, I guess, kind of keeping it down small. I mean, we all went to the same school. We all went to Judson, graduated from Judson.
Wow.
So that's basically how it started. We're all just friends who went to the same school, had the same idea.
Austin, you too?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So
We were all kind of in like ascending order of like where we graduated. So Joe was a year above myself, and Jordan, our drummer, was a year above himself. So it just kind of like, I was the last one out, personally.
That's really cool, and I really just kind of want to comment on that, because a lot of the bands from the San Antonio scene that I talk about are usually from like South Side, fucking West Side, not from the Northeast Side in Judson. And I think that's really cool, man. I mean, you know, I talk to bands from outside of our city too, but I don't think I've met a lot of metal guys from that area. So that's awesome.
yeah, neither have we. So we're basically all it is.
And so Joseph, at that time when you were in high school and stuff, were you already thinking about a metal band and stuff like that?
I had been thinking about a band probably since as early as like middle school. I'd always wanted to play. So kind of finding these guys was like, I'd always been looking for it, and then I found everybody, kind of just drew them all into it, and here we are.
Austin was walking around campus with those spikes on.
Well, I found him through a buddy of mine. He interviewed, or he thought he auditioned over the phone. We brought him in to audition, and
Who, Jordan?
No, him.
Oh, okay.
Well, Jordan got in just because he was the only drummer we could find.
And he's a pretty sick dude too.
Oh, he's a badass dude.
I was in a band previous to this, just like a couple punk bands. Didn't really go anywhere, but it was like a mutual friend of myself and Joseph that I was playing for, and we had gym class. And one day, my friend, or bandmate, I should say at the time, was just telling me that, like, oh, there's this guy named Joe. He wants to start a metal band, like kind of in the vein of like Metallica, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, at the time I was a really big Metallica fan, so yeah, big band for me. And that was kind of my style. So yeah, I'll give this a shot. And my buddy gave me his Joseph's number, and just hit him up one day, and
His life changed forever.
I think Joseph probably finished the story for me.
Now, not to date you guys, but what year was that?
2014.
Well, 13.
2014.
Yeah, I was 14 at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started in 13, so he came in around 14.
Yeah, I gave that guy the call in around 2014.
So, for both of you guys, this is like your first band? I mean, real band?
First real band, yeah.
I mean, because, yeah, you're punking around with other punks.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, up in probably about up until about 5 years ago, it wasn't a real band, so we just kind of piddled around.
We're still
or whatever.
punking it out.
Yeah.
I remember we had an intriguing conversation at one time. But I've seen you guys. I remember when I first saw you guys play.
You sucked.
No, I thought you guys. One of the things that really attracted to me about you guys is that you guys are just really intense. Like you're really into what you're doing. Austin and I were talking off camera, and Austin was saying, Rob, we've grown, we've developed, and I kind of said like, hey, the longer you do stuff, the better you get at it, and it kind of seems like X.I.L is in a really good place right now.
Yeah, we've had, going on over probably close to 9 years already, and playing live since 2015. We've had time definitely to hone in everything that we do live, and early on it was just about how intense can we play, how crazy can we get, how can we make the live shows better, and it's still the same thing today, but it's more along the lines of how can we attract like the audience to what we're doing, like make it a little bit more intimate, make it more personal for everybody else, not just us.
On top of just writing better songs.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. You have to have good songs.
Substance.
You have to have good songs because I've said this several times in the past. There are those bands, and I'm a fan. Okay, remember. That's why I called the show Robbs MetalWorks, because I'm a fan first and foremost. And I've always kind of felt there's those bands that recording-wise, they're great. They have great records, right? But you go see them live and they're like weak. Then it's the opposite. You go see those bands, you're like awesome live. Then you go get the record and then the record's weak. And then you have the great bands who do it both. So that's a great kind of comment there, Austin, that you make, because yes, it always begins with the bands, and then as we talked about earlier tonight, the recording is just as important. I think you guys initially got the live part right. I've seen you guys play, and it's intense, and I love how you guys talk shit and throw down.
We're still trying to make it more intense than what we already do.
Wow. But we'll talk initially about your early recordings that I heard, and then we'll move on from there.
God.
But let's first talk about too. Weren't you guys initially a 4-piece band?
Yeah.
And now we're 3-piece.
Yeah, we're 3-piece now. It was a whole mutual thing about what happened. But it was one thing, like Quentin, he had some other stuff he wanted to do. But we were going into this certain direction, and it was just for the better. It helped him out, helped us out. And we're still best friends. We're all still brothers to this day, man.
Yeah, he still hangs out during practice sometimes.
Oh, really?
He's always welcome to hang out with us.
Yeah. He still roadies for us at shows.
Really?
He'll come over, hang out and shit.
Yeah, he'll always be the fourth member of X.I.L. That's for sure.
Wow, that's cool, man.
He'll be the fourth and probably the only fourth member of X.I.L.
He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh yeah,
Sweetheart of a guy. I've had a chance to chat with him one-on-one, and I know he has his literary endeavors, and that's great, man. Why didn't you ever? But again, I think the point that I'm trying to make is like you didn't replace him. You just said, "Hey, we're gonna fucking stay a 3-piece."
Well, we had looked for a little bit, like emphasis on a little bit, probably like not even a month.
Long story.
Yeah, we had.
Did you have people audition?
Yeah, we had like a buddy or two, like who was interested, but just nothing ever really came of it. And it just kind of let it be what it ended up being. But we realized at the end of the day, the songs, the kind of music we were writing ended up actually benefiting from not having a second guitar player. So
and Joseph can definitely pull it off by himself.
I guess I try my best. I just try to stay in tune and stay on time. That's about it.
Yep.
But yeah, but no, with the whole thing with it, like being together, like with each other as long as we have, like it just didn't. There's something that just didn't sit right. At least with me, like it didn't sit right having somebody else there playing with us.
It kind of fucks up the chemistry.
Yeah, because essentially, we grew up together. The peak years of our teens. Where everybody's like has their friends for life. It's like that's just what it was, and it's not going to be the same with somebody else. So like you're saying, like the chemistry just wasn't there with anybody else except him. So.
And I think you mentioned this earlier. It was in
definitely one less ego.
I didn't really comment on it, but earlier tonight I had asked you about Jordan, and I was like, "Is that your original drummer from the beginning?" He said,
"Yes, sir."
Yeah, he's from the beginning. So
Day one.
You, Jordan, and Austin have been together for almost 10 years,
give or take.
Yeah, I mean, this unit. I don't think a lot of bands can say that. I mean, you always hear bands, transitioning members for whatever reason, and you guys have maintained this core unit of X.I.L. And I think you're right, Joe, when you have a unit that's so tight and you're like family and brothers, it's like when you bring somebody else to it, it could kind of mess with that.
It's just something totally different after that,
Yeah. So how long after the band had kind of been working did you guys do some recording? And what were some of the initial recordings? I think I have some of them here in my archive.
You might do.
I might have some old X.I.L stuff.
Well,
so talk a little bit about that. We talked about it off camera. Wasn't there like a Massacre EP? And then
we actually recorded Massacre twice.
Is that? But that's not the recording. I know you guys did a recording with Mondo Tovar of Las Cruces.
That was the last one that we did. That you
okay.
have, yeah. But that was the second time we did it. But it's a little bit of a long, illustrious, colorful history. But to try to kind of sum it up shortly.
How many songs were on Massacre for those people?
5 or 6. Plus like an intro, like if you want to count that, like an instrumental interlude thing. But like 5 like straightforward songs.
Is that out in the market somewhere? Can people buy it and find it? No?
Probably not anymore. Not
unless they get it.
Not for the future.
Specifically ask for it. Hey, you got some of y'all shitty old music we can listen to? Yeah, sure.
Maybe
Somewhere.
in the future, but
no, but it's not out there.
Not anymore.
It's not on Spotify. It's not on.
Not really. No.
Bandcamp. It's not on any of that.
Yeah, if you those who still want to listen to the cute song.
Yeah.
Inside joke. Full Throttle Ass Kicking. You will find it on Spotify. It is listed as a single, but
that's on Massacre.
Yes, sir. But the story behind Massacre was the first time we recorded it was all in this guy's bedroom in his parents' house when we were still teenagers. It was like the first handful of songs we actually written, right? And then we had the opportunity to re-record them with a presumably a bigger kind of like recording budget, and just so we could try to push a little more, get a little more of a reach. And to our surprise, it kind of flopped. Didn't actually. I mean, it was.
You're talking about the Mondo Tovar recording?
Yes, sir. At Echo Base Studios, and Mondo, he's a great guy. He's always been a buddy of ours, but he was kind of new to. He had just made his home studio.
Yep.
And I think some of the experience might show. However, to his credit, he has gotten a lot better, though not to derail discussion. We all did the best we could, I remember I had just turned like 18 or 19 when I had to do my vocals for the.
How many years ago was that?
Like 5 or 6.
That was the end of 17.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A little tour for it while we were still.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's 2017 when we re-recorded it with Mondo, and we like I was saying, we did the best we could. But although the fruits of our labors haven't. I believe that they still haven't quite paid off. But to our own credit, how many copies did we print? Just like ourselves on the CD?
Respectively, I think we sold over 800 copies of just that.
Of Massacre?
Yeah.
Just like when you were doing shows.
Because I was the one that was printing them, and I was the one buying everything, making everything, spending the late nights, doing
Pour me one, brother.
doing everything for it, cutting out the inserts and shit for the
wow,
cases.
That's cool,
and all that.
man.
And we sold definitely over 800 because I remember making all of it, and that was what we sold here in town, out of town. Whenever we did a little run at the end of 17.
Is that including the original run too?
Yep, that includes the original run.
So, Massacre had kind of come out, and then after that, I think it was it around that time that we had our little conversation? I saw you guys play.
Yeah.
And not to let all the people out there know about our personal private conversations, but I remember thinking at that time when I saw you, I'm like, man, these guys are great. they're on it. They're heavy. They're thrashy. I love, I'm a thrash metal guy. That's my genre, and I really loved that you were doing what you were doing. I loved what I saw, but I remember telling you guys, I'm like, man, you guys just need a really good recording. And I think at that time I had already heard a couple of tracks. I think Joe, you had sent me a couple of tracks, and I had kind of felt that the recording could have been better.
I think that I sent you a demo, the breakneck demo that we did.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to hear something great. And I remember telling you guys, to pull it off, it takes money and it takes time and it really takes effort to have a good recording. And the thing about recordings is when you have a product like this, is that you have to remember it's forever. Yes, sir. Yeah. It's forever. Oh, yeah. And you guys, honestly, I was telling somebody yesterday, I said, I'm going to interview X.I.L tomorrow. And they were like, oh, yeah, those guys have been around for a little bit. I'm like, yeah. I said, but now, they have a really good record out, and I think they're really coming into their own. So talk a little bit about, and I can't remember. I think Austin and I were talking while you guys were at the liquor store. Austin was telling me, we've really have grown and we've matured and we've become better at what we do. So what kind of transitions have you guys made from the Massacre? You think from the Massacre musician into the fucking rip and tear kind of representation that fans are gonna hear on this record?
One of the main things is, in terms of years on the sound, like dialing it back, not trying to be so much like the big four, not trying to be so much like the big dogs, is like just doing some more stuff of the shit that we like, actually make music for ourselves. And that's what changed a lot.
So I remember personally just like having like a bit of a phase of like just writing like straight up like just Sepultura creator stuff, in that kind of vein. And those are great bands, don't get me wrong, but it's all heavy, it's all fast, it's all extreme all the time. And after a while you kind of start to get burnt out from just general extremity.
Sure.
So we kind of something just kind of clicked. Something was that felt very natural, just to kind of go back to just the roots, of that kind of stuff, which is just Motorhead, Judas Priest, Angel Witch, all that good stuff. We're just great songwriting. So I'm glad that we could still tap into that style of just old school heavy metal and like classic rock, but still retaining our regression. Still having that bite, which it's a great mixture of like the hooks and the melody of like all those great classic bands.
Yeah.
But still having like the attack of like Exodus, of like Slayer, like just pounding,
Every time I see you guys, I've always kind of feel like you guys are very aggressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even though you guys, and I think what I'm hearing you say is that, we don't always have to thrash out. We can be melodic and we can play interludes and we can do other things with our brutality. So let's talk about the here and now. We sit here in 2022. We chatted 4 or 5 years ago, and I was excited about tonight because I'm like, this is like a really a new era and a new chapter for X.I.L. So let's talk about this record.
Yes, sir.
And for all you people out there, we are about to chat about Rip and Tear, the brand new record from X.I.L. And I know these are all new tracks.
Yes, sir.
Right? When did you start writing for Rip and Tear?
Well, I have to say technically it's not all new because the song...
Sure, tell me.
The song Learn to Bleed, that's probably the oldest song on the record. That was like in between... How long?
Between 17 and 18.
Yeah.
Playing it for a while.
Yeah.
But you kind of revamped it a little bit, maybe?
It was still technically... No, not even really. It was still really like technically in like the Massacre stage when I kind of wrote that. It was like right at the end of that. So I guess that song's a great transition between like just the pure thrash thing and just like the more like heavy metal, speed metal, whatever you want to call it, to what we do now, which can be represented on the rest of Rip and Tear. But other than that, yeah, all new songs, all brand new material, new direction,
And y'all just said like, we don't even want to fuck with these old songs. Let's just do new shit.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I mean, to the point where we even cut all the old shit out of the sets. You know, I mean, we played the same set for so long and we didn't notice it. And by the time we noticed it, we were kicking a dead horse. So we're like, hey, we got to get rid of all these songs, put everything in that's new. Like, especially once it came out, we withheld playing live a couple songs. We kept some of the old stuff in, but once the record came out, that was just like, hey, it's like no holds barred, just do everything that we can on it to make everything new, make the whole set new, make it as exciting as we can, and that's basically what came out of it. You know, we ixnayed all the old shit.
So we were having this conversation earlier, and we talked about terms like rock and roll and thrash and speed metal and speed demons and all this stuff. You know, and what people think about music, it can be so exactly to what they feel about when they hear your music. What do you guys tell people when they say, "Hey, Joe, Austin, tell me about your band. What are you playing? What do you tell them?"
Generally, I just tell them we play speed metal. That's kind of what I
Same here.
just kind of
metal.
Put it towards.
Yeah.
But it's kind of important to those who are outside, like they don't listen to very much like many bands. They geek out the same stuff like we do. Yeah, I'll tell them speed metal. But to those who are like more inside, I'll tell them, well, it's music's like breakneck rock and roll. That's how we kind of brand ourselves, because when you say speed metal, that can mean anything. Because back in the day, thrash metal as we define it wasn't quite as like zeroed in. You know, speed metal could apply to everything from Destruction to Possessed to like Running Wild to, you know, Venom, Motorhead, whatever, what have you. So it was like an amorphous catch-all for anything that played fast and wasn't punk. So like I like to categorize or brand our music as breakneck rock and roll, because you could say it's thrash, but it's not quite like Municipal Waste or Warbringer, but it's not quite like Running Wild or Saxon or like any like old school heavy metal, like X.I.L, you know, stuff like that. So it's more like just the Motorhead philosophy of just like saying, well, fuck all these labels, fuck all these like categories. We're just gonna it's all rock and roll at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make this
that's a good point.
Loud music that's trying to like piss off our parents and like fucking have a good time, drink some of this stuff,
drink some whiskey,
you know, get our whistles wet, you know, throw down, have a good time. Like categories aren't so important, you know. Everyone just chill out.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The first single
Yes, sir.
Out of this 8-song record was Breakneck. Was that the first single?
Well,
because
yes,
I remember
sir.
seeing cover work, cover art for Breakneck, and I thought, oh, well, this is the first single.
Yeah.
If they're gonna have cover art for it, then
it was intended to be the only single, but like backstage politics kind of stepped in, and Speed Demons eventually got added to the. I mean, which they might have done some good in the long run in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
But we intended to have Breakneck as like we wanted to have like a 7-inch single and have like a Damned song as the B-side and like all this stuff, you know. But that didn't quite go through. But I'm still personally just I'm happy with what we have, you know, like the way things kind of turned out, because we still have a killer record in the single itself.
It's a very cool record, and that's why you're here on the show. So before we kind of get into the knee deeps of this record, when did it officially come out? Because I know sometimes bands will put out a digital and then a hard copy like I got.
February 22nd?
February
25th of this year.
This
2022.
year. Yeah, great. And it's so cool that you guys have hard copies. I like this. I like the artwork, and we're going to talk a little bit about the storyline here in a little bit.
Eventually, we'll have a vinyl release.
Salud.
Well, cheers. Cheers. All right, cool. But eventually,
you want a vinyl out?
Holy shit. In this lifetime, I mean, how good would that not look on vinyl? You know,
I'd put it up in my room here.
If you would be so kind to show the camera.
If you got one, you better show me. Don't worry, they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it.
That's great cover art.
So as Austin is alluding to, everyone out there, go ahead and take a look at the cover work of the brand new X.I.L record. It is called Rip and Tear. Came out in February of this year. 8 killer tracks. We were talking about Breakneck and Speed Demons, but I love Rip and Tear too. Lots of killer songs. And on the back of the record, before we get into the recording of this record, because this record I think is the best representation ever of X.I.L, there's kind of like a little storyline back here. So talk a little bit about that, Austin.
Where do I start? Okay.
Just making sure.
Putting him on the spot here. All right. So basically, I just wanted to kind of create like a loose concept. This isn't a concept album, but I wanted to create a loose concept around the band and tie it to the music, just so.
Like Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah, you know, like if you look on the back of like Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith, Judas Priest, and like Jailbreak of Thin Lizzy, there's like a little, like, it's like a short story, kind of, and it ties to the song, and it's what I feel makes the album more interesting.
For sure.
It creates like an aura or like a mystique, whatever you want to call it, and just so it makes the album more of like a full package deal. You know what I mean? So people are getting more than just the music; they're getting like this whole world that the band is trying to create.
Yeah. And I think that's cool. I mean, the more content that you can give a record and is better for the fans, because they sit back and they listen to it and they're jamming it and they're reading. So it's a complete package kind of thing. So we talked about, at least I've kind of talked about a lot tonight, about how great this record sounds. And I was so happy. I remember I saw you guys at the Bewitcher show earlier this year, and Joseph said, "Hey, here's our fucking record." And I remember, believe it or not, my truck still has a CD player. So I remember jamming it on the way. I mean, I didn't wait till I got home. I put it in my truck right away, and I was jamming it on the way home. Remember, Thomas? It was me, Thomas, and Julie. We were all hanging out in my truck, and I put it on, and I said, I'm so fucking happy that these guys are finally recorded well. So let's talk about the recording process of this record. Where did you guys record, and who kind of recorded it?
We recorded the album at Red Barn Studios in Mission, Texas, with in-house engineer Robert Canales.
Robert Canales.
Yes, sir. Of Unholy Desecration.
Yeah, I was telling you guys. Evil. It's kind of scary, that dude.
Nah, he's a sweetheart.
I love his evilness. But I've heard good things about his little studio, and I know he's a diehard metal fan.
Oh yeah.
And I know that he loves his, he's very prideful with the work that he does. So, if he's gonna record you, then he's gonna do the best job he can. And it came out fucking great. How long did it? I mean, and I was telling you guys too, like, man, for you guys to go to the Valley to record with this guy, I mean, that took a lot of love and effort to do that.
It's really closer to the border.
I mean, the recording process wasn't like bad. It didn't take long. It was just the time between, like, everybody's got a job. Everybody's got, got to do something. So I think in between sessions, it was like 3-4 months in between, which prolonged everything. Because initially we were supposed to go in like earlier 2020, which COVID hit, so that kind of screwed everything up. But it didn't take long in the sense if you break it all down. It took probably not even 2 weeks to make it all. But he definitely puts a certain effort into getting the sound that you want to get, and we were able to, like, if you hear from from bands that have the same kind of, that are like as young as us, who are going for like a thrash sound or any kind of sound that's fast in the metal spectrum, we sound completely different, and there's just something different. There's something crazy about that whole thing, because because not all the recordings are the same, and
Sure.
he's just,
well, I mean, a lot has to do with it too. Like, the chemistry that you have with the dude who's recording you, the vibe that you feel in the studio. And then of course the equipment. And you were telling me like Rob made me record on a mess. I'm a Marshall dude. Like shit like that, right?
Well, that's the thing. He did it while we weren't there. He
switched it up on you.
Well, he switched it up because he wanted. He just that was just the way he is. He likes to fuck with you.
He was like fucking. Joseph won't even know.
Yeah, as soon as he turned, I was like, man, this sounds badass. And he's just like, that's a mess. I'm like, you motherfucker, dude. And so we did the whole thing. And
Joseph, there's nothing wrong with Mesa Boogie, bro.
It's like the most positive way you can prank somebody.
I'm not a musician, and I know that. I love Mesa.
I'm just, everybody's got their preference. I'm a Marshall guy.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, he did that. I was like, no, I'll put it back to the Marshall. I was like, yeah, there's a certain life missing from it. And he put both of them together. That's the sound you got on the record.
Dude.
So you got Mesa and Marshall on there.
That's what a guy who's an engineer or a producer, that's what he should do for you. It's like he's introducing new things into your vibe.
He'd go out of his way to get the sound that you want. Like, I think he went and he wasn't getting the tone he wanted on his bass. And so, I mean, he went out and he got, like, some new gear. He went out and got some new, like, software just so he can, try and get the sound that he wanted. And it wasn't, like, cheap either.
Yeah.
It's like, so he definitely went the extra mile to try to go where nobody else could for us. That really means a lot, and that means a lot to a lot of bands too, not just us.
For sure. I mean, especially if you're fucking paying him
that's not to mention letting us crash on his floor.
Oh yeah,
sweetheart.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
And then you don't want to piss Austin off because god damn it.
Who, Austin?
Yeah.
I'm like the most docile motherfucker. I'm a teddy bear.
Everybody's a teddy bear. Okay. But nonetheless, Robert Canales, if you're watching this interview tonight, bro, you did a great job on this recording.
And apparently he told us that he recorded the entire record by himself while we were asleep in the studio. So that goes all to him.
All tracks all over.
Yeah, that's even him on the cover. So.
Great job, Robert Canales. And for all you youngsters out there who want good recordings, look him up down in the valley. I love the Valley. I'm hearing more and more about the Valley metal scene, and lots of cool things are happening over there. And, I know he's cool, and he's underground, so I know he didn't cost a whole bunch of money, but, fucking A.
Definitely not Bob Rock.
Great value in what you're getting from the recording. So the record's out, and at least from what I've seen, the record seems to be getting some pretty good reception. Yeah. How do you guys feel about what people have been saying about this record?
I mean, we haven't gotten a bad review yet, so I guess that's good.
Yeah. I haven't heard a single bad thing about our album. Not one. Not even like less than like enthusiastic. Everyone that's been talking about it's like, this fucking rules. This rips, this tears, this does everything across the spectrum, and it warms my heart.
That's good, man. It makes you feel like all the time and effort and the money that has paid off.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you got to do.
Definitely the time.
Every fucking time. And every time, my hope is that you will elevate your game when the new X.I.L record will come out, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. One thing that I want to talk to you about is I would have loved, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see any like videos in support of this record yet. I mean, I've seen some, I've seen some people recording some of your live shows. I think I've seen some other little stuff, but I don't think I've seen an official video. Is that important to you?
Yes and no, but it's just really hard to scrap up the time and money to produce a video. We've talked about it and we kind of tossed some ideas around, but it just is what it is.
I'd love to see you guys do a video.
I think if we did it right,
like a little live performance video.
Yeah, even that.
Because I think that's your strength.
But part of the attitude has to do with because some bands will make a video. And like, it's gonna show that it's not necessarily like they're just putting out a video just to put out a video. I think if you're gonna put out a video, it better look really good. I don't want if it's gonna be subpar, it's gonna look like crap, and I don't want us to look like crap.
For sure. Again, it's like a recording.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the video is gonna last forever.
If we can't like look like Wasp, then forget it. Go big or go home.
Right. I don't know if you guys have.
The other thing for sure is going to be the timing for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I think at this point the timing's gone for this record.
Okay.
In the terms of doing anything for any track off this record. So if we do any videos, it's definitely going to be something that's going to come out later. So timing's definitely plays a big part into it on top of budget.
We talked about marketing, Joseph, tonight, and you know, you're not the first band that I see this to, but sometimes, you know, bands, you know, they release a record. Let's say they release a record, right? Yes, the record's been out for a little while, but yet to the public for a little while.
Yeah.
But yet to you guys, it's like old hat already.
Yeah.
You're already sick of it. So you're ready to move on.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is, too, is like be very cognizant, like the fact that, hey, this is still new to the public, and we can still market it and massage this record and really promote it. You don't want to move too fast away from a good piece of work because you invested a lot of time and money into it. And just because you're tired of it doesn't mean that people out in the scene are tired of it. And
yeah, I mean,
even though you're ready to move on.
For the most part, I mean, we've been playing these songs for well over 3 years. So
yeah.
You know, and a lot of people have only heard these songs for probably the past 8 months.
Yeah.
So
sure,
but there's still like however many faces that don't even know who we exist. You know?
That's my point.
So it's when we come to marketing, there's still like a whole lot of people who have yet to be exposed to our music.
And tonight, people are gonna know a lot about Rip and Tear and gonna go download it from all the music media outlets, right? Because it's all out on all music media outlets, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So all you people out there, after this interview tonight, be sure to go look for Rip and Tear and download it from your favorite streaming service or wherever you listen to music and jam it. Now, you guys stay pretty active. You guys play lots of shows.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah. What's as we sit here now, kind of like in the middle of the summer, what's kind of the plan for the rest of the fall? As the fall approaches, what is the plan?
Honestly, I don't know. We haven't really talked about it much.
We do know that October is mostly kind of off the table just because of personal like things in each other's lives. But we have material written for an EP coming up.
You're getting a vasectomy?
That was a secret. You weren't supposed to say that.
That's for the only fans.
Just for you, Rob.
Listen to me, Joseph. Take October and get the vasectomy, bro.
We have an EP of new material.
Really? All right,
Yes,
let's go there.
Working title is Shake the Streets.
Holy smokes, I got a title already.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shake the Streets.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
The songs are pretty much laid out.
How many songs?
Like 4 or 5.
That's cool.
5
That's
tops.
cool.
Tops. But
so you guys like always writing?
Kind of.
Are these old tracks that you kind of revamped? Or?
These are all fresh.
New.
Although we have one song that we wanted to use on Rip and Tear that was kind of left off called Crime Wave. Yeah. That's probably going to appear on the record. But yeah, Shake the Streets. It's going to have like 4 or 5 like just mostly killer new songs. It's kind of meant to be just an extension of Rip and Tear. Like the kind of, I guess, vision we have for it is like where if you listen to Rip and Tear, you'll see it has like a lot of like peaks and valleys. You know, there's lots of slow stuff, there's lots of atmospheric stuff, but of course it's also pouncing in the head. Whereas the EP that we're kind of sitting on is going to be more straightforward. So it's going to be kind of like a break from all the peaks and valleys.
So is this more? Do you feel that this is more like a natural progression for X.I.L?
Well, not necessarily. Like just more, like I said, just more straightforward. Like but still keeping in vein with Rip and Tear.
Yeah. And when will that be out? When would you like it out?
I would like it sometime this year, maybe this fall. But we just gotta really kick each other's asses and practice the fucking songs. That's a big part. You know?
Will you record with Canales again, or is this?
We want to go through Mondo again because we really can't afford to take the time. If we went through Canales again, it would take us another year to get it out because that's a lot of mileage to go down. Because every time we record Rip and Tear, we stayed a whole weekend. At his place. You know, like a whole session would sometimes take all weekend. You know.
And again, guys, I don't know if I said this earlier. I think I did.
Yes, sir.
Like every time that you release something, like people want it to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this on camera.
How dare he?
I'd love exactly. How fucking dare you? I would love to see you guys record with Clifton Miles or with Chris Mora. Obviously those guys are gonna cost a bit more, but fuck.
You know who it's like a dream, like if anything led up to our whole career, the one person we would love to like record with, make a record with, is Algie Ward of Tank. He's also the bass player for the Damned, but look him up, Algie Ward.
Where is he at?
England.
Oh yeah.
But he's an old guy. He's also produced records for Bulldozer and Warfare. In the underground, he's like a hero. He's basically like another Lemmy, you know, just
sure.
rock and roll, punk rock, metal, whatever. But Algie Ward, that's the one guy we would love to like produce our record before he drops dead, because he's been around.
Well, if
you're watching this right now,
traveling to the valley is tough, traveling to England is going to be tougher.
Well, at least if we did it in England, we can, you know, take the time and actually do the whole thing and
focus on and knock it out, right?
And it's not just like, you know, 4 hours away.
There's a lot of good guys in San Antonio who could record something beautiful for you. I just as a fan, guys, as a fan of X.I.L, I just want to hear something bigger and better from you guys.
See,
I would hate for you guys to record something and then for it not to be as good as this.
Because the main thing with what we do is we're like between Austin and myself, like we're big in the visionary department, so we know what we want whenever we go in.
Yeah.
And having somebody who's willing to work with us, that plays a huge part in like who we go to.
Right.
And Canales, like from the get, he was like, yeah, I can do this for you. You know, we showed him a couple albums, like how we wanted certain things to sound. He's like, yeah, we can try to do that for you. You know, and the one thing with going to somebody who, like, everybody knows is just trying to push out shit so they can get paid, they're not going to put the love and care that Canales or somebody the equivalent of Canales would put into it, because they're trying to create something that doesn't sound the same as everybody else. That's
a good point, Joe. That's a good point. And you know, Canales is definitely underground. You know, he's not trying to get rich. He has a shovel to get. He's a rep. You know, he's trying to protect his rep, and everything that comes out of his studio, he's repping. Everything that he does, he reps. But at the same time, I think other producers and other engineers, they kind of feel the same way. I mean, for example, I'm not trying to pimp Cliff, but Cliff did the Violent Practice record recently, and I would have never thought that a band like Violent Practice, who's like this crossover underground band, would have ever recorded with him, because that's really not his forte, and I would have never thought that Cliff was their forte, but they did it, and it fucking came out great. At the end of the day, all you want is a good sounding, beautiful fucking product, man. Something that sounds tight and something that pops on your fucking stereo, right? And
because we don't want modern production. Like, we don't want very clicky, triggered sounding kicks and shit like that.
Try to keep it as organic as possible, you know.
And there's many bands who go for that,
and that's completely fine. You know, to each their own with it. We don't want to sound like that.
Yeah.
We want to sound metal, not plastic.
Okay. I get it. And that's cool. I mean, you know, I listen to some death and black and metal, and I'm like, yeah, it's rough, and that's the appeal to it for some people. Yeah. So, you guys continue to play a lot of shows this fall?
Yeah, we have a couple coming up. We got a big one at the Hotham Theater up in Dallas, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you guys like going to Dallas?
We've been driving sucks. Yeah.
Well, then I'm talking about the scene there.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Houston, Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Houston's good.
Fucking Houston is absolutely nuts.
Houston is crazy.
We have a pretty good reception in Houston.
That's great, man.
We're not like gods up there. Like, we're still like pretty like tiny, but those who really stick by us really stick by us.
Yeah, Houston is crazy.
I mean, if there's anybody leading that scene out there, I mean, definitely one would be X.I.L. They're the ones who are like throwing shows.
Who?
X.I.L.
Exidium.
They're the ones
Exidium,
who,
send me a fucking demo.
they are the ones throwing these fucking massive underground shows where like 200-300 kids are fucking coming.
Wow, that's
And-
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Houston, man, Houston for sure.
You have to emphasize they're kids. They're not like sweaty like, old men, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
these are kids who are diehard
Yeah,
for this kind of music.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if there's any scene in Texas, it's definitely Houston.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I remember back in the early days.
And Merciless Savagery.
In the early days of Robbs, I used to go to Houston a lot, and Houston was always kind of crazy. And I remember though, the thing was like the opposite of San Antonio. It was like here is a bunch of crazy satanic Hispanics, and then in Houston, there's all these crazy white boys fucking going crazy.
What's wrong with crazy
So it was a little-
satanics, man?
Hey, it's all good. It's all good as long as they're digging on the band, you know. That's great. So you guys are gonna stay busy this year. Hopefully
Try to.
Hopefully record some new music.
To go back to your point, not to like backtread, but it's going to be very difficult to come up with a record bigger than Rip and Tear because those who have listened will know what I'm talking about. How are we going to top like an almost 10-minute plus track, Moonlight Mass? Only time will tell. But
I think you guys can pull it off.
there's very adventurous moments.
It's an 11-minute track.
Like.
And it doesn't even have to be, I mean, that's the thing, though. It doesn't have to really, don't compete with your previous work, but just make it sound great, man. Make good songs. I think you made a good point earlier, Austin, where you said, like, we kind of matured to a point where we realize it's about the song.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's about the song. Yeah.
It's the most important thing.
It's the most important thing, and I think
I think the substance into what we put into a song also helps a lot.
Which goes into
Because
back to songwriting.
because back to Massacre. I mean, Massacre was just like the whole teenage angst of us trying to push out whatever kind of quote unquote thrash we could do. And now with this, there's a lot more personal shit for all of us in there. Yeah.
Massacre. If Massacre had any substance, I do have to credit aforementioned previous member Quentin because his lyrics were something else. He's a poet.
Quentin. He's a fucking literary guy, of course.
Quentin's a poet. He wrote a lot of the songs on Massacre, and if there was one great thing about Massacre, demo or otherwise,
Quentin's lyrics.
It was his actual lyrics. They fall off the page.
And Quinn, I know you're going to watch this interview, and I want you to know that I asked about you tonight, and that we talked about you tonight, and, life goes on, and transitions happening, and as I shared with you guys tonight, life is about moments in time. Things always start, and they end, and things move on.
Life is one bottle at a time, man.
We're having a wonderful moment tonight. Okay, so for all those people out there, if they want to get a hard copy in their hand, where can they go? Can they order, or they just go to your shows, or what?
They can go. We would prefer if they saw us at our shows, but they can buy all X.I.L merchandise, music and otherwise at X.I.L Speed Demons 1D at bandcamp.com or confusedrecords.com.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Confused Records. Let's talk a little bit about that. The guy who leads Confused Records is Aldebario. He's my friend and yours, and he's a great guy. He's originally from the Valley. He sings for the band Confused.
Yes, sir.
How did you guys get affiliated with Aldebario?
Through Quentin.
Really?
Yeah, through Quentin. He actually, I think Quentin was wearing a Fear shirt at Home Depot, and Al walked up to him and he was like, "Hey, I like Fear too." Yeah.
This had to have been a lot sooner.
Yeah. No.
Because of Quentin.
Yeah, because of Quentin.
I
Yeah.
know Fear.
Maybe it was something else. I don't remember. But I know he said it was like a shirt or some shit like that.
Here's the thing: we got added. We got added on Confused Records at like 2017, 2018. So yeah, it was just my birthday. That Fear tour that we saw, all of us saw, was 2019.
Like I said, I don't know. It could be something else.
It was probably it was likely something else.
But yeah, no, it was Quentin. Quentin kind of got us into the door with Al, and then after me and Al kind of hit it off, we kind of started doing the dealings just between us and the rest of the guys. But yeah, Al's always been like very, very, like what's the word?
He's always believed in
Yeah,
us.
yeah. He's always believed in. He's always given towards us, man, and we're always thankful for everything he does. And there's nothing like we could do that is like could repay him for the shit he's done for us.
Aldebario.
He's just such a he's a nice guy. I don't care whatever anybody fucking paints him to be. He's always been a good dude to us. He's always been grateful that we're always, even just being in his house, he's always grateful.
Aldebario is one of those guys that is like Robert Canales. Like he's underground, and he really what he does for bands in his label, for friends in the scene, in supporting his own band, Confused. He is legit, bro, and he does it from the heart.
Oh yeah.
He really cares about underground heavy metal music, and he's legit. Aldebario is I'm not just saying those things, but he is a personal friend of mine, and that's the reason that he is a personal friend of mine, is because I recognize those things about him.
It's because he's fucking real. That's what
real.
he is, man.
There you go.
Solid guy.
There you go. So, as long as he can do anything to help the band, either with cover a little bit of cost or distribution or whatever, that he can help with the band. I mean, hey,
anything he can help, he always tells us that he'll help with, and he has.
Of course,
and he has.
Okay, gentlemen, as we end out, what a great conversation tonight. I want to give both of you the opportunity to share any love, any thank yous to your family, friends, all the people who've been on with you on this journey with X.I.L. So, Joe, you go first.
I guess first and foremost, for sure, my parents, man. They gave us the opportunity to jam for fucking like 5 years, like while we were going through school.
In the garage or what?
No, in my fucking room.
Wow.
My fucking room.
No kidding. I slept on the bed the first practice.
Whoa. Yeah. But no, definitely my parents first
I'm
and
sure
foremost.
your dad was loving it.
Yeah.
That's fucking love, bro.
So they gave us they definitely gave us the time to grow. They gave us everything we needed.
For sure.
And that, obviously these guys, my wife and all the friends that we've gathered along the way. Brad shit, if you're watching this, I'm talking about you too. But yeah, man, especially these guys.
Your brothers.
They're my brothers to the fucking
sure.
end, dude. That's really everybody I got, man.
Cool. What about you, Wilson?
I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Venegas, my old man, Sarah Arce, for attempting to teach me to sing correctly in preparation for the album we have just released. My bandmates for putting up with my stupid ass. Rob here in front of me, Robert Canales, for putting up with my stupid ass, like my bandmates.
Canales has hair.
This Rob and that.
I'm way better looking than Robert Canales. Come on.
1 second, boss. Jack Daniel for the inspiration.
Fudge, we had to go to the store.
Twice, yes, you had to go to the store and impression.
And it's just getting started.
The well's running dry, but that's pretty much named everyone that's helped me. Like, I can go on and on, but those are the big ones that kind of, at least for this record. I mean, I'm grateful for any support that I have personally received up to this point, but life is a trip, all that stuff. So I guess Joe has something to say.
So in the terms of rip and tear, I'm pretty sure for all of us, I would say we'd like to thank Al and Confused Records, everybody at Confused Records, Rob Canales, his wife, and his entire family, including the parrot. Rob, you for sure for having us on. Everybody who has bought this record already, there's people who have bought it fucking twice. Thank you guys so much for everything. We definitely couldn't be here without anybody supporting us. We probably would have, died off a long time ago if nobody came to the shows or did anything. So, thank you to everybody. Anybody and everybody who has been with us since the start and is continuous to follow us now.
Guys, I think right now is a really good time for X.I.L. I think you guys are in a good place. You guys have a good record under your belt, and I can only see things getting better. So I'm so happy. I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to have you guys on our show. So thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Austin,
huge
for coming
pleasure.
tonight
Thank
and
you.
bringing your goodies. Oh my God, we're about to get a little crazy.
That's just the pregame, man.
This is the pregame.
It's the pregame.
All right, good wording. Good wording.
I pregamed before this pregame.
Oh
so.
my God, we still got a lot of metal to listen to
We
tonight.
have a whole night in front of us.
Oh God.
Exactly.
It's
We're gonna
only
torture
4
the
p.m.
shit out of Rob, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw these.
Rob's
fuckers
gonna
out.
learn the meaning of rock and roll tonight.
Oh really?
Breakneck rock and roll, man.
You're a bold man, Joseph, for saying that.
No, you're the bald man.
I said bold.
I'm an italics man.
See what happens when you drink Jack Daniels? Remember, everybody. Remember, everybody. The band's brand new record is called The Rip and Tear. It is out right now on all your music media outlets. Be sure to pick it up once you finish watching this video.
Also available on cassette.
Ah!
Available on cassette. And he fucking broke it. What a dumbass.
Remember, you saw the band X.I.L only right here on Robbs MetalWorks.